Hey gang, Mark Sweeney here, owner and founder of Austin Dental Spa in beautiful Austin, Texas. If you've tuned in before, you know what this is all about. We do about 10 minutes of scientific stuff, usually dental related, but not always. Sometimes it's health related. And today's no different. We're going to talk about blood pressure. Exciting topic, huh? Well, actually, we are going to talk about some exciting aspects of blood pressure. First of all, what the heck does it mean? And then some natural ways that you can, natural ways, not going to a doctor, ways that you can use to lower your blood pressure. But as you know, if you've tuned in before, we also have a theme every month. And this month, of course, with the basketball, NCAA basketball tournament going on, our theme was March Madness, because we wanted to do a little bit of something in March, acknowledge the NCAA tournament, and we're going mad about ways you can make yourself healthier. So with that said, if you find something that you like here, if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome, and hope you'll stick around for the 10 minutes or so that we'll be talking about blood pressure. And we are going to, if you like what you see and you want to reference some of our previous Wisdom Wednesdays, we've been doing it for about 6 years now, and you can find them on YouTube, on the Austin Dental Spa YouTube channel, and on our Facebook page, Austin Dental Spa, there as well. So let's dig in. Oh, and while we're talking about the NCAA tournament, I can't help but mention that the UT men's and women's teams are both in the big dances. UT plays Thursday night, tomorrow night, first game, and the women are seeded number 1 in their they have 4 quadrants, and they're seeded number 1 in their section, and they play on Friday afternoon. So let's get back to the exciting world of blood pressure. I know you all know when you go get your blood pressure, there's 2 numbers. There's one usually higher number over a lower number. The higher number is usually between 100 and 150, and the lower number preferably is well below 100, typically 75 to 80 to 85. So what do those numbers mean? Well, the upper number is your systolic pressure, and that signifies how much pressure gets pushed through your major arteries in your body every time your heart pumps. Every time it contracts, it pushes blood through your veins, or your arteries first, and then they come back through your veins. So that first number, the systolic, is how much pressure is it putting on your major arteries as it pumps. There should be an elastic limit to your arteries. Now, you can figure if it were the plumbing at your house and you had too much water pressure going on through your pipes, what's going to happen? Eventually, they're either going to spring a leak at one of the joints, or worst case scenario, you get a catastrophic failure and your pipe breaks and water goes gushing out everywhere. Well, think about it the same way in your body. Every time your heart squeezes and pumps, it pushes blood fairly forcefully through your arteries, and there is a limit that they should be able to expand. And then as the push happens and the heart rests, it relaxes, and that second number, the diastolic, is what measures how much do they relax. Now, the bigger the distance between those 2 numbers, the more probability it is that you might have some kind of heart condition. Either they're not relaxing enough and your lower number stays up. If the lower number, the diastolic, is over 100, that's a sign that your arteries are not relaxing enough to keep your body healthy. So they never quit being under pressure. And if the top number is up around 180 to 200, that's way more pressure than your body was designed to handle on a long-term basis. And so That's where hypertension comes in. If either one of those numbers are too high, the top number over 180, the bottom number over 100, then you've got hypertension, you've got potential heart problems, and you're looking at possibility of a heart attack or a stroke. So that's the nuts and bolts thumbnail sketch of what blood pressure is all about. So let's talk about why should you care, and what can you do to lower it. So why should you care? Because nobody that I know of wants to take a risk with a heart attack or with a stroke, because those are things that some people never recover completely from, and so you don't want to go there. So you should get your blood pressure checked regularly. There's no excuse for it. Most of the big box pharmacies and grocery stores have a little place over in the pharmacy for free. You can sit down, stick your arm in the thing, punch the button, and you feel it tighten up on your arm and then release, and it measures the systolic and the diastolic, and nobody else even knows, but you can see those numbers. If you're over 150 on the top number or you're over 100 on the bottom number, you need to go see your doctor. So let's talk about do-it-yourself stuff, DIY. Everybody loves that, right? There's YouTube videos, thousands and thousands of them, how to fix things at home so you don't have to go to the doctor or hire a professional. Well, same thing with blood pressure. So we looked up ways, these are kind of fun ways that you can lower your blood pressure without a doctor's involvement, without taking any medications. And these, I found this quite interesting, and I'll reiterate this along the way. These studies were all done over in Europe, one in London, or in the UK, another one, King's College of London, another one in like Finland. And so why aren't we doing these studies in Texas where we've got sun, or Arizona where we've got sun all the time? But number one way to lower your blood pressure came from University of Southampton in the UK, in England. They did a study that found that more exposing your skin to sunlight at least an hour a day, can cut the risk of heart attack and stroke, because it stimulates. Now, we all know that it stimulates vitamin D, and we talked about that actually last week, but it also creates a messenger molecule called nitric acid. Not the stuff us dentists use, that's nitrous oxide, that's N2O. This is N3O, so there's three nitrogen molecules or atoms attached to an oxygen atom. And so in N3O, nitric oxide, if you look at all the bodybuilding stuff, a lot of the bodybuilding things for athletes claim that they help produce nitric acid in your body. So nitric acid helps build muscle mass, but it also helps reduce blood pressure. So that's one way. That's getting more sun. Number two, this came from the King's College in London. Go blue. And I'm not talking about the University of Kentucky basketball team. I'm talking about, they did a study in King's College London that found that eating 1 cup of blueberries every day for a month can lead to an improvement in blood vessel function. Who knew? Blueberries. And another one, this one came from the University of Eastern Finland. I told you all these studies on blood pressure came from Western Europe. Why? I don't know. But Eastern Finland, the university found that frequent saunas, they studied a group of men, I think it was like 1,500 men over a many-year period, like a decade. And they found that these men, who all started out with no sign of hypertension, but they followed them over a 10-year period. Some of them developed hypertension, but the ones who did saunas 4 to 7 times a week. 7 times a week means every day. Now remember, we're talking about Finland. It gets cold over there. And apparently saunas is kind of like a national pastime, like eating a hot dog and watching a baseball game is here. In Finland, saunas are everywhere. They didn't specify whether it's the dry heat saunas or the hot tub wet saunas, but because they're both considered saunas. But the ones who did 4 to 7 times a week had 50% lower risk of hypertension over a 10-year period than the ones who only did it 1 to 3 times a week. So if you've got access to a sauna, keep that in mind. Just because it was done in Finland doesn't mean it won't work here in Austin, Texas. Finally, take naps. I know some of you out there will love this one. Springer Science and Business Media, which was here in the United States, says that daytime sleep can have cardiovascular benefits. And this is a fairly new study, looked at what a daytime nap of 45 minutes or longer, but 45 minutes was the time that it needed to be at least 45 minutes. During the day, they had lower blood pressure. Now that works great unless you're driving down Mopac while you're sleeping. Anyway, that's something. I know a few people who nap. Now I can't do that because if I go to sleep in the middle of the day, I'm not going to wake up till 7 or 8 that night. So I just don't go there. So let's talk about the flip side. I always give a health tip, and this kind of segues into a health tip. What are things that you should not eat that have a negative effect on your blood pressure? And I never knew this till this article. Licorice. Study in Sweden. I told you we were going to do Western Europe today. A study in Sweden at a university there found that licorice increases your blood pressure, and large amounts of licorice cause high blood pressure, cause your blood pressure to spike. So if you're a licorice lover, you might want to check your blood pressure regularly to make sure that you're not doing something that could end up tasting good and being dangerous. I never thought licorice tasted all that great anyway, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you licorice lovers out there, you might want to be a little careful. So I hope this has been interesting information for you from a blood pressure standpoint. Next week, we'll be back with another episode of Wisdom Wednesday. I should have the K team back with me next week, and I will see you next Wednesday for another version of Wisdom Wednesday.